Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Forecast. And Manchester United have lost to Brentford. I saw this coming. I don't know how many people actually saw this coming, but I certainly did. I thought it'd only be 2-1. And look, United showed some signs of hope, but at the end of the day, United weren't good enough once again. And I think there is the writing on the wall now that Ruben Amorim will be sacked as the Manchester United boss. Look, I don't think he's the main culprit for why United are struggling so much, but he isn't good enough for the Man United job, and he's continuing to make too many errors. Straight away, what errors did Ruben Amorim make? Well, let's get into this. Straight away, Ruben Amorim got it wrong, was the starting 11. I mean, you look at this and you just can't understand his team selection once again. You look at the defence and he's played Mathias, Maguire and Shaw. But where is he asking Maguire to play? I don't think Maguire is a terrible defender. But why are you asking Maguire to play as the last man? And that is why United concede the first 2 goals for Igor Thiago. It's Ruben Amorim mistakes as well as Maguire being poor. And I think both manager and player deserve fault. But it's not Maguire's fault. He's being asked to play the sweeper role. Maguire can obviously not do this, but Ruben Amorim is persistent on playing his own system, and it costs Manchester United once again, and it's 2 simple goals for Igor Thiago. And I just can't understand why you dropping Lenny Yoro. If you're going to drop a centre-half, that had to be Luke Shaw, but Ruben Amorim is just so sort of on his system that it has to happen like exactly how he wants. Then you go into the midfield, and it's shocking again. Bruno Fernandes and Manuel Ugarte, it never works. As soon as Caoimhín comes on, Manchester United look like a completely different side, and Bruno's performance overall today was once again shocking. I mean, whenever he progresses the ball, it has to be all the way deep. It has to be really far. It can't be controlled. It can't be like what Mainu provides. I just can't understand why you're not playing Caoimhín, and for that he's going to sack himself, because his next midfielder is Ugarte, and Ugarte can't progress a football to save his life, and all he can do is pass back and just sort of look to sort of move the ball around. That's all Ugarte's good at. He's a decent tackler and he can pass the ball back. That's all Ugarte is, and it's just a shocking midfield partnership. I mean, the attack you can't really argue, but then let's get into the next sort of errors that Ruben Amorim made in this game. So then obviously that means United go 2-0 down, and then Benjamin Šeško scores a goal. I mean, it's nicely worked goal from Manchester United. Šeško gets 3 or 4 chances and eventually puts the ball in the back of the net, and that means that United are back into this game. I thought the substitutions of Yoro and Mainu were very good, and it gave United the sort of balance that they needed, and United should have made it 2-2, but Bruno Fernandes once again, so I think it's starting to cost the manager dearly, and the players are starting to turn. I think their heads are gone. Look, I don't really blame Bruno. Look, he missed the penalty at the end of the day, but it's just after that, everyone's heads just drop. Ruben Amorim just completely drops, and I just think that's a problem. At some point, Ruben Amorim's got to be more inspirational. He can't just continuously drop his head whenever something goes wrong. I understand it's difficult being Manchester United boss, but it's just so continuous, and then you just look at it and you just can't quite understand what he's trying to do. So then he brings on Yoro. So look, he's sorted out the defence, but once again, it's this weird defensive sort of shape of having one centre-half who's really deep, 2 further forward, and it just allows teams like Brentford to exploit them with pace and behind, because there's just players out of position and not an offside trap that you can just easily break through. And then the other substitutions that Ruben Amorim made was Mount and Xerxes, and I'm fine with these subs. He brought off the 2 fullbacks, Dallo and Dorgu, but if you're going to make these changes, then at least look to change the system. Don't stick with your wing-back system. You can change, you can adapt. I get it. You've been told to play a specific system. They want you to sort of stick with something, and that's because that's what they think that the issues were. But in those last 20 minutes, if you're going to bring on those attacking players, at least change the system. You don't have to stick with it, otherwise you're sacking yourself. And at the end of the day, the Manchester United manager isn't the main problem with United, but it clearly is a problem now. They need to get a new manager, and I think it's time to sack the manager. Look, it's hard, because I've always been on the side of, you've got to try to get the manager time, and I still believe you do, but at some point you've got to go, look, Ruben Amorim is not going to take United where they need to be. Even with sort of funds, I'm not convinced. So then who played well for Brentford in this game? Caoimhín Kelleher obviously had an excellent game, saving a penalty. The defence I thought was pretty good. Coyote at some points was a threat. Henderson I thought was good again. Yarmouk I thought was superb and was very close to the man of the match. But it's got to go to Igor Thiago. His 2 goals are brilliant. And look, Bayenda's going to get some blame for the performance. On the last goal, sure, Bayenda should be doing better on the Jensen goal. But apart from that, I actually thought Bayenda had a decent game. Look, he's not good enough to play for Manchester United. There's no doubt about that. But I think off this performance, you can say he played well. And he's not at fault. He's not the person to be blaming. The person to be blaming is Ruben Amorim and Harry Maguire. It really is. Maguire made a couple of terrible issue errors, but I also think that's down to what Amorim is asking him to do. Please let me know your thoughts on this game. Manchester United's performance. Should the manager go? If not, tell me why. Why should Ruben Amorim not be sacked? And I know a lot of the reasons are going to be, look, it's not the main problem. I completely agree it's not the main problem. And sacking the manager may not solve a huge lot. But I am telling you, Ruben Amorim is not helping Manchester United in any sorts. And a decent manager would definitely, I think, stabilise the ship. And I think it's time to get a manager like Diego Simeone. I know it sounds interesting, defensive, but I think Simeone is very good at stabilising a club that's struggling. He did that with Atletico Madrid. He's a sustainable manager, and he will at least get you back, I think, into top 4. Look, it's hard at Manchester United with the sort of problems that they're clearly still inside the club, but you do need a different manager. If you enjoy this video, it'd be great if you could subscribe.